Good morning, friends. So this is a Python's class. Okay, welcome to you all. So before going into Python programs basics, we shall discuss what is a program. Now, program is a sequence of instructions that a computer can interpret and execute. Now, what is the meaning of this? Program is a sequence of instructions. Let us say you have four instructions in a program. Okay, it will execute in the sequence way. First, after executing the instruction 1, it will come to instruction 2, instruction 3, instruction 4. That means in when you write a Python program, it will execute line by line. Okay, line by line. Now, program is nothing but a sequence of instructions. It will come in a the instructions will be executed in a sequence way, and that in such a way that computer can interpret it. Interpret means it can understand and it can execute. Now, examples for program are antivirus, assembler, compiler, interpreter, syntax checker, translator, and many more. Now, every software is a collection of programs. Now, remember that every software is a collection of programs. Now, basically small softwares, like small tools, where whatever you say, a tools is nothing but a computer program. Like antivirus is a computer program. Now, what is an antivirus? An antivirus is a computer program that checks a computer whether that computer is having viruses or not. Now, not only finding the viruses, it will prevent their spread. Okay, then what is an assembler? Assembler is a program which converts the assembly language into machine language. Now now uh, now you have to you will come across with a word called assembly language. Now, what do you mean by assembly language? Now, computer can understand only ones and zeros. Now, when the developers are writing the programs with ones and zeros, they're often misled or confused. So they invented a keyword called mnemonics. Okay, if you are an electronics student, or if you have studied electronics, you can come across this word mnemonics. Mnemonics means it is a code given to a particular sequence of numbers. So that sequence of numbers, let us say, for add, I will give number, binary number 10011111, like that. Okay, I can give a binary number to a word. Like add is having some set of binary numbers, subtract, sub, is having some binary numbers. In such a way, they have created a mnemonics in the sense words. Okay, when they converted the words, they started using that words as binary numbers. Okay, for this they have invented a programming language. It is almost equivalent to English language, almost equivalent to our present languages. Like low, they're having instructions like add, load. Okay, load a, load b, store c. Okay, in that way they have written some programs that is called an assembly language program. Now, assembly language is also having some commands. You have to remember the commands, and you have to write in a sequence way. Okay, compiler. Now, what is a compiler? Compiler is a program which decodes the instruction which is written in higher languages and converts the program into assembly language. Now, if you are not using any compiler, now we cannot get this high level language translation into low level language translation. So the translation is compulsorily needed. Okay, then what is an interpreter? A program that translates and executes the source language statements line by line. Now, what is an interpreter? Interpreter is a program which translates the source code line by line. And the best example is our Python language, because Python is using interpreter. Now, what is a syntax checker? Now, basically, what is a syntax? For every programming language, or every language, like our English language is having grammar. In the same way, programming language is also having some grammar that is called semantics. That semantics are maintained by syntax checker. When you write a program other than the syntax, it will throw error. Now, a Python developer will develop the syntax, will will devise a particular rule to create something. Okay, you have to write keywords in the correct appropriate place. You have to leave some spaces. You have to write exclamatory marks. Okay, the syntax is having, you have to use as it is. That means what they have defined in the syntax, you have to use that and you have to write. You cannot change the syntax of a program. For any developer it is applicable. Okay, now what is a translator? A translator is a program that translates one programming language into another. Now basically we need translators in computer because computers cannot understand English language or any language. It cannot understand. It can understand only ones and zeros, that is on and offs. So we need translators. There are basically two translators in the programming languages. One is compiler and interpreter. And programming languages are also of two types. One is compiler based languages and interpreter based languages. And some are using both, like Java is using both compiler and interpreter. Now we shall see what is a compiler. Now when you see this figure, when you see this figure, you can see this is a book and this is a book and this is a lady. Now this lady is called, let us say this lady is called compiler. What she can do, she will read this entire book. Okay, she will read this entire book, then it translates into other language. This book is written in some, let us say in Dutch, and this book is in English. She will read this entire book and then it can convert, she will convert into English language. Now until she finishes this book, she will not translate. That is the important point in compiler. In now we shall talk this in programming language aspect. Now if this is a program and this program is having 4 lines of code, until this 4 lines of code is written and we shall proceed for compilation, then only it compiles and then only it will translates this. Okay, in this case this is called interpreter. See this figure. Okay, two unknown persons are talking via this translator. Now she knows both languages because translator knows both languages. Now she knows this language and she knows the human language and she knows computer language. Now she will listen to this language and immediately she will respond and immediately she will give reply to this human. Okay, in the same, in the programming language aspect, when 4 lines of code are written in our programming language, so first line will be executed and translated. Okay, second line will be translated and executed, third line will be translated and executed, fourth line will be translated and executed. Now where the cases are failed, like now you have written first line error. Now if first line is error itself, then it shall not move to second line. Okay, and if second line statement is error, now it shall not move to third line. Okay, if third line statement is error, then it shall not move to fourth line. You have to write your program very carefully in case of interpreter based language. Now our Python is an interpreter based language. Now instead of having many programming languages, hundreds of programming languages we have, but why we need Python? Here Python programming language is having many features, but the main feature is having, like, it is having large libraries. That means support for a program. Like if you want to do statistical programs, we need to import these statistical libraries. If you want to do scientific computations, we have SciPy, we have NumPy. like that, many libraries are available for a specific task. If you want to do a chemistry related project, okay, now you have to balance the equations, you can do with Python itself using library. And we have many libraries, like you can use physics, you can use biotechnology, you can use biology, you can use anything which is available in libraries. What are libraries? Like library is nothing but a group of Python programs, that's all, which are already written, which are already written. Just we need to import them, and just we need to start. You need not to implement the libraries, they are already implemented. Just use that programs using a keyword called import, that's all. Now what is an history of this Python? Now when I say that word called Python, you imagine the snakes, right? So from childhood, you will see this Python somewhere in zoo, circus, or wherever it is possible. You have seen this Python, but it is nothing to do with our Python programming language, because the inventor, the developer of the Python, is fond of the Monty Python's Flying Circus comedy show. Now he want to express his language as very easy, fun to learn. So when he used to choose this word called Monty Python's flying flying circus. Now he used this Python. From Monty Python, he derived this Python language. He named it as Python language. Now he is an engineer working in CWI in Netherlands. He is a Dutch person. So this National Research Institute of Mathematics and Computer Science is located at Amsterdam, Netherlands. He is working in a language called, a programming language called ABC language, from which this Python is derived. No, he used ABC language. He inspired from ABC language, and he created a new language called Python. Now, what is CWI in Dutch? This is a Dutch acronym. The Centrum Wiskunde and Informatica. This is a Dutch acronym. By the way, in English we call it as National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science. Especially this mathematics is the theoretical mathematics and computer science, which is located at Amsterdam, Netherlands. Now, now we are in the versions of 3 point some x. Now this x will differ, like 3.8.3, 3.8.2, 3.8.1, 3.8.0, like that. We have now 3.x version is working. So these are the basic versions. These are the basic versions of Python. Now we are using 3.80. Now we shall discuss what are identifiers. Now when you see this, you call it as apple. Then when you see this, you call it as cat, because apple, you name, somebody named it as apple. Now when you see this, you can call this as apple because somebody named it already. Now you will call this as cat because somebody has named it. Now in the same way, when you create a variable or you create a class, when you create a method, you can also name them. Okay, you can also name them, so that when you try to call them, when you try to access them, it is very easy to access. Why naming is given? Because to when you try to access them, you can access easily. That's why names are given. Okay. Now what is an identifier? Identifier is nothing but a name given to programming identities. What are programming identities? A variable, class, method. These are examples of programming identities. Now what is an identifier? Nothing. Identifier is nothing but a name. Like example, a is equal to 10. Now the value 10 is named as a. Now when you try to print a, it will give 10. That's all. uh, Now when there is a naming system, there should be a system for naming, that is called nomenclature. So we shall see this nomenclature of this Python identifiers. Now, can I write identifier as my wish? No, there are some rules to write identifier. Like you can write identifiers using the combination of letters, digits, and underscore. Letters, you can use small a to z as well as capital A to Z. Then digits, you can use 0 to 9, and you can use underscore, and you can use three, like small letter case, capital letters case, and digits underscore. In the same variable itself, you can use this combination. Examples for valid identifiers are like my school. Okay, print underscore details, my underscore school, where underscore to. When you try to write two words like my friend, my school, or print this variable. Okay, if a variable is having too many, like two or more words, try to give underscore. Okay, now identifier cannot start with a digit. Like example is one school underscore name. Okay, you should not write a digit here. Keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Like in every programming languages, we have keywords. Okay, keywords cannot be used as identifiers. Now, special symbols cannot be used, like exclamatory mark, at the rate mark, hash, dollar, percentage symbol. These are cannot be used as identifiers. These are invalid identifiers. S at the rate, C hash, A dollar, and percentage. These are invalid identifiers. Now, identifier can be of any length from Python 3. Now we shall move to the next concept called keywords. Like in our English language, we have many words. Now, not only English language, in any language we can have words. Because a language is collection of words. In the same way, Python is also a collection of defined reserved keywords. Okay, reserved keywords, and each keyword is having some special meaning. Now these are the keywords. In our program, we shall use these keywords only to write our Python program. Okay, we shall see this when we write a Python program. We shall use this according to the situation. Okay, according to the situation, where we have to use false, where you have to use await, where we have to use else. Okay, where you have to use except, where you have to use lambda, not, if, while, try, return, raise, pass. Like that, we have to use according to the situation. We have to use these keywords, and each keyword is having some special meaning. That means you need not to implement. You just use this keyword. That's all. Now, in our Python program, indentation is the heart of the Python program. When you declare a variable, see here, a is equal to 3, and the next line you leave this space, that means white space, it will throw an error called indentation error. So indentation is nothing but when you write a paragraph in English language, you try to give some space, right? When you try to give some space. In some cases, you do not give space. So indentation is nothing but to that is called a concept called readability of code. The code should be readable by any human. That means any person can easily can understand this program using some indentation. You have to maintain indentation. Indentation is not new to you. When you use MS Word program, okay, MS Word, when you write some paragraphs, you will use these indentations, right? In the same way, Python is also having some indentation. We'll see this later. So indentation is basically, you should not use white space before giving the variable. Okay, see here, if a is equal to 3 and the next line you are giving some white space, that's why it is throwing an error called indentation error. Okay, and In our programming languages, in other programming languages, so strings are used single quotation, double quotation, and triple quotation. In SQL, the varchar is used as single and double. Triple is not used in any other programming languages except in Python. So here, in this is my string, my country. I used single quotation mark, and I have declared another string called Jagdish using double quotation mark. I have used a string called Jagdish Kumar using triple quotation. These three are valid in Python. So when you write, when you type S, it will give my country. So this is my country. When you type P, it will give Jagdish. When you type R, it will give Jagdish Kumar. So these are valid cases of declaration of strings. When in the strings lesson, we will talk it in more detailed way. Okay. Now, what is a variable? What is a variable? Variable is a named memory location. Now, every variable, every value is associated with variable name. Every value will be associated with variable name. Like, see here, if x is a variable and it is storing 42. Now, what is 42? 42 is an integer. So the data type of this integer is int in Python. So it is creating an object of int. It is an create it is create it created an object of int, and it is storing in the named memory location called x. Now see here, when I declare a is equal to 10, and in the next line I have changed the value of a as India. Now when I try to print a, it will print India but not 10, because it varies. The name itself, it is saying that variable is nothing but it varies, it changes. If I write a is equal to some x, then if I try to print a, then it will print x. Okay, it will change time by time. When you make changes to a variable, it will change. That's why it is called a variable. It varies. Now now there is a concept called multiple assignments in Python. Now if I declare a comma b comma c comma d is equal to 12 comma India comma 0.9 comma a. Now each is related, like a is equal to 12 and b is equal to India, c is equal to 0.9, d is equal to a. So in this way you can assign. In other programming languages it is not possible. In Python it is possible. Like it is having multiple assignments. Now if I have declared like this and I try to print a, now a is 12, b is, now b is India. So that's why India. When I try to print C, C is 0.9. So 0.9. D is A. So A. That's all. And so every variable is having some type. They are called data types. So this is a standard. This is standard type hierarchy in Python. Okay. First, none type, because this class type is none. And numbers are of three types. They can be integers, real numbers, and complex numbers. And in the integral form, they are having two types, like booleans and integers. And we have other data type called sequences. Sequences are of two types. They are called immutable and mutable. And in immutable, we have three data types called strings, tuple, and bytes. And in mutable, we have lists and byte arrays. And we have other data type called sets. Now, sets are of two types, sets as well as frozen sets. And we have mappings as data types. The class dictionary is of mapping type. That means mapping means it is having key and value. And callable data types, They are called functions, methods, classes, and modules. These are the basic standard type hierarchy in Python. Now this generally a data type is nothing but like when you declare a variable and you are trying to store a value called 42. The 42 is an integer number, so the class of this object is int. In the similar way, we shall see each one example. What is a none? What is numbers? What is real number? How can we express complex number in Python? How can we express integers? How can we express how to use booleans? How to use strings? How to use tuples? How to use bytes? How to use lists? How to use sets? How to use frozen sets? How to use dictionaries? And how to create a function? How to create methods? How to create classes? In the later classes. Bye for now. Okay.